Henry MacDonald. Wayne Gretzky didn't just play the game of hockey, he defined it. His journey from backyard rink to hockey icon is the stuff of legend. The great one seemed to lead a charmed life of championships, glory, and good fortune. But Gretzky has also been battered by trouble and loss, an Olympic team failure, a gambling scandal that involved his assistant coach, and the deaths of both his mother and grandmother. But as you'll see, the skinny kid from Brantford who became an unlikely superstar has always epitomized grace under pressure, on and off the ice.
On April 18, 1999, Wayne Gretzky stood alone in the spotlight. After a 21-year professional career, the player known as the Great One was leaving the ice for the final time. Gretzky has spent a lifetime in the spotlight. As a child, he attracted national attention. As a teenager, he was already a star. He was a small-town kid who became a Canadian icon. At times, he was larger than life. At others, he was only human. But on the ice, Gretzky stood alone. As a player, Wayne Gretzky turned the NHL record books into his own personal journal. In the executive suite, he became a national hero. But this story begins long before scoring titles and Stanley Cups. This story begins in a small town near Brantford, Ontario, where Walter Gretzky was a typical Canadian boy with a typically Canadian love of hockey.
Well, I lived out in the country next to a little river, the Nith River, a little farmhouse, and the river itself wasn't far, maybe 40 yards from the house. And in the wintertime, we would just play, and not for half hour or an hour at a time, all day long. That's all we did.
Walter's hockey talents took him as far as Junior B. He joined the Bell Telephone Company as a lineman and settled down to married life. On January 26, 1961, Walter and Phyllis Gretzky welcomed their first son, Wayne Douglas Gretzky. The young family spent Saturday nights watching Hockey Night in Canada at Grandma Gretzky's farm.
Grandma Gretzky had a pine wood floor, and Wayne would slide around on this little floor like he had skates on with a little miniature hockey stick, and she would sit there with a little stick and be his goalie.
In between periods, the big thing that I love to do is grab a ball or roll up a sock and take a little hockey stick, and she would play goal and I would take shots on her. And then when the period would start, we'd watch the game again.
The odd time he would miss, of course, and hit her in the shins. We knew when that happened.
When Wayne was just 2 years old, Walter returned to the river by the farm with his young son at his side.
He'd never ever been on skates before. I bought him a pair of skates, took him down to the river, put him on the ice, but he literally skated, just skated.
Walter built a rink behind their house in Brantford. It became known throughout the neighborhood as the Wally Coliseum. Soon Wayne was spending more time on the ice than in the house.
I would get on the ice before school and skate for an hour, hour and a half. When school was over at 3 o'clock, I would come home and I would skate till 5:30, 5:45, and then my parents would call me in for dinner. I would go back on the ice for another hour. And then Saturdays were basically spent from 8 in the morning till about 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night skating.
There were some evenings, for example, it'd be pretty late, it'd be 10 o'clock at night, and I had a floodlight in the backyard, and his mother would say, "Walter, would you please go bring them in the house? It's 10 o'clock. The neighbors are going to think we're all crazy in this house."
With a little imagination, the Wally Coliseum became an NHL arena, and Wayne was number 9, the great Gordie Howe.
The Howe, he shoots and scores! Gordie Howe!
You know, you get the puck and you go around a pylon. There's always, Gordie Howe goes around the defenseman, scores a winning goal in the Stanley Cup. We all did that. That's what it was all about.
What Wayne wanted most of all was to leave the fantasy world of the backyard rink and join a real team. Although much too young to play organized hockey in Brantford, he convinced his dad to take him to a tryout.
The first year he ever played, he was 6 years old. The youngest traveling team we had at that time were 10-year-old boys. He made that team. He scored 1 goal that year. 4 years later, for that same team, He scored 378 goals, and these were 10-minute straight time periods.
While Wayne was something special on the ice, away from the game, he was just another kid, playing with his younger sister Kim and spending time at Grandma Gretzky's farm.
We would go to visit my grandparents every Sunday. It was kind of a thing that the family did. You know, get there after church. We'd get there around 12:30, 12:45, and my grandmother would make this whole homemade dinner of, you know, Polish delicacies, sort of, and that was always a lot of fun.
For Wayne, summer meant long days on the farm or playing lacrosse or baseball. The Gretzky family grew to include 3 more boys, Keith, Glenn, and Brent, but it was Wayne who attracted all the attention. As the trophy collection grew ever larger, Walter Gretzky made sure that his young son understood that with success comes responsibility.
The biggest thing that he saw is that I had a love for this game. And for whatever reason, he felt that for some reason I was in a very special situation. I can remember after a game, we got beat 6-1, and I was kind of, you know, nonchalant about it. And so I remember my dad very, you know, quietly saying, you know, it doesn't matter if it's the first game or the last game, you know, people are coming to watch you play, and you got to play well every game. You can't have any bad games. I mean, he told me that when I was 9, 10 years old. And he didn't say it to put pressure on me. He didn't say it to push me or motivate me. He just really believed that.
Like his hero, Gordie Howe, Wayne wore number 9. At a Kiwanis Club dinner in Brantford, he got the chance to meet his idol.
When I met Gordie Howe, I was 10 years old. He was bigger and better and nicer than I ever imagined. And all I did from that moment on was think about one day I'd love to play with Gordie Howe or against Gordie Howe.
While barely a teenager, Wayne began to attract national attention. Newspaper and magazine articles were written, and radio introduced the young phenomenon to hockey fans from coast to coast.
Wayne, how do you feel about all the publicity you've had? And does it bother you? Do kids at school razz you about it?
No, they all just joke about it at school. Every day when I come back, they tell me all about it, and as if I didn't know about it.
As Wayne attracted attention, he also attracted critics. Jealous parents called him a puck hog, even though he recorded as many assists as goals.
I think the biggest problem that Wayne encountered was the fact that if you have a boy in a team and Wayne's on that team, who's got the puck all the time? Pretty soon, you, as a parent, are going to resent him. It never bothered Wayne at first, but it bothered me badly.
What's sad about it is, out of 30 parents, 26 or 27 of them were tremendous. And it's always the 1 or 2 or 3 bad apples in a bushel cart that ruin it for everyone. And that pressure wasn't something that a normal 11, 12, 13-year-old needed to go through.
I tried to tell Wayne that it would always be like that the better you get, the worse it's going to get, because everybody cares about their own. And so you're going to be turned on. And this did happen. So one of the reasons we moved him to Toronto.
But 14-year-olds can't leave home for hockey. The Ontario Minor Hockey Association ruled that if Wayne wanted to continue in minor hockey, he had to return to Brantford. The courts agreed. Instead, Gretzky made the jump to Junior B. At 14 years old and 135 pounds, Wayne was now facing players as old as 20. After 2 seasons in Toronto, 16-year-old Wayne joined the Junior A Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. The move meant living with a new family and attending a new school. The Greyhounds already had a player wearing number 9. Wayne tried 14 before deciding on 2 9s. A Gretzky trademark was born.
I like it up here so far. The hockey end of it, I was the first draft choice, and right now all the fans of Sault Ste. Marie are on my side, and I'm happy for that, and I just hope I keep going good.
Gretzky became the top junior player in the country. At 17, he remained 3 years away from NHL eligibility. But in the 70s, there was a big league alternative. The World Hockey Association had grabbed headlines by signing some of the biggest names in the game. Now they wanted the hottest prospect of them all.
Nelson Skalbania was looking for someone for his Indianapolis Racers. He wasn't drawing crowds. He wanted an attraction. He asked people around the league, the WHA, and they said the Gretzky kid.
He was sort of a sought-after commodity from a public relations standpoint, that he was never going to be a great player, but we knew the NHL wanted this guy, and it would have been a coup to get him.
Vancouver businessman Nelson Skalbania sent his private plane to bring the Gretzky family and agent Gus Badali to Vancouver, where Wayne was offered his first pro contract.
He offered me a contract, and I said, great, I'll take it. I was 17 years old. My dad said, yeah, he's going to sign. And Gus kind of stepped in and said, he's not getting that. Hold on, we got to negotiate.
Now, the contract was signed on the plane as they were flying back, and it was handwritten on a piece of foolscap by Wayne, because Nelson was dictating it, and Walter said, here, you do this. My hand's shaking so much I can't hold the pencil.
I wasn't making $40,000 a year working where I was, and all of a sudden you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's mind-boggling.
In 1978, 17-year-old Wayne Gretzky turned pro with the Indianapolis Racers. While Wayne attracted the attention of the hockey world, he couldn't draw a crowd in Indianapolis. After only 8 games, Gretzky was traded to Edmonton.
I knew the team was really in financial problems, and I was just prepared for it. And if it happened, I kind of had an idea, and if it didn't, I wasn't going to worry about it.
When that acquisition was made, there were a lot of people that still doubted very much whether the skinny kid who had bad skin and long hair could possibly have an impact on the league.
17 years old, he weighed about 155 pounds at that time, had the long, scraggly hair, and I can remember thinking to myself, this guy is going to be the next Gordie Howe.
He knew there was an enormous amount of pressure on him to play in Edmonton. It wasn't like being in the U.S. now, and nobody knew him. Everybody knew Wayne. But he was already something special.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure on me right now, and I just don't have to go out there and not think about it, and that's what I'm trying to do, and just go out there and play my game.
Life was changing quickly for Gretzky. In the WHA All-Star game, he lined up alongside his boyhood hero, Gordie Howe. And his 18th birthday present was the longest contract in professional sport. 21 years at almost $250,000 a season. While Gretzky had long-term stability, the opposite was true of the WHA. In 1979, Wayne Gretzky faced his greatest challenge. The WHA had collapsed. The NHL expanded to include 4 teams from their former rival, including the Edmonton Oilers. The NHL was the top league in the world, the players bigger, faster, stronger. While many thought Gretzky would finally falter, his NHL debut was nothing short of spectacular. He tied Marcel Dion in the points race and was awarded the Hart Trophy as the most valuable player in the league. At season's end, a return to Brantford allowed Wayne to spend some time with his family. But summer was anything but a holiday, as endorsements and charity appearances kept him on the move. Wayne had grown up idolizing Gordie Howe. Now even Gordie was a Gretzky fan.
He's a super young man who, it's a kind of reflection on his parents who brought him up. He got a certain charisma that everybody falls in love with the kid.
Oh my God! How Gretzky take 2?
Hello, I brought along a friend to help me tell you about the United Way.
Find out what is needed in your town and then volunteer. I missed it again.
Let that damn walk over.
Get him out of here!
In only his second NHL season, Wayne began to rewrite the record books. He broke Phil Esposito's single-season points record and Bobby Orr's mark for assists. It all seemed too good to be true, and for some members of the media, the young superstar had yet to earn their respect.
I don't know what I have to do to make people believe. Last year, it was my first year, and you can say, well, maybe we did have just a lucky year, and, why say anything about it? So I went on there and tried to put myself again this year, and I did it again this year, and then I still have people saying, well, if I was here, or, things like that. The other day, I read in the paper that so-and-so was better than Wayne Gretzky because, he had the experience, and, And I kind of thought, well, if he's got so much experience, how come he hasn't got the 152-point record?
The following season, any remaining critics were silenced. In the history of the NHL, no one had ever scored 50 goals in fewer than 50 games. Gretzky did it in 39.
He has broken the record! Gretzky has done the unbelievable! Patrick gave it away. Here's Gretzky.
The next to fall was Phil Esposito's mark of 76 goals in a season.
There's the record.
Gretzky scored 92. At times, it seemed Wayne was more popular than the game itself. He signed lucrative endorsement deals, lending his name to everything from breakfast cereal to soda pop.
Tastes great, Mom. This is my good pal, Joey Moss. Every day, Joey works hard in the Oilers.
Wayne continued to work with charities, and when he admitted to a love of soap operas, they made him a guest star.
Call me Wayne. Everybody does.
Wayne was recognized by fans at every turn, but to his mother Phyllis, he was just another one of the boys.
Do you ever do dishes, make beds, clean basements?
Wayne?
Yeah.
You kidding?
Somebody had to skate.
Shovel what?
Are you kidding?
Hold on.
Liz, the only thing he shoveled was the ice in the backyard. And his three brothers are the same way. That's all they do, too.
The backyard rink in Brantford was now a place of legend, and Keith, Glenn, and Brent fell under the glow of the Gretzky spotlight. While members of the media all looked for the next one, Walter was reluctant to make comparisons.
Well, each one is different. You know, like we hate to compare one against the other. Every boy is different. They have their own identities.
Although Keith and Brent were selected in the NHL draft, they would share little of their older brother's success. On the backyard rink, Walter Gretzky had taught his son that hockey was a thinking game. Go to where the puck is going, not where it's been, was his constant refrain. And even as he faced the greatest players in the game, it often seemed that the puck belonged to Wayne alone. Soon the records he was breaking were his own. The doubters were gone. Wayne Gretzky had earned his nickname, the Great One.
Wayne has never been clocked as the fastest skater in the world, but try to stay with him. He moves across that ice very, very quickly.
Great playmaking, great vision. He was also very keen at finding open ice, and his whole team seemed to look for him in the open ice, and boom, away he'd go.
I wanted to hit him so badly sometimes, but I just really couldn't get a piece of him. He was like a master chess player. He knew where to go, where he wasn't going to really run into a lot of traffic and yet be most effective.
Nobody saw the ice better than Wayne Gretzky. Nobody ever passed the puck better than Wayne Gretzky. And nobody ever knew what you were going to do before you even knew it than Wayne Gretzky.
He was always one step ahead of everybody. Before he got the puck, he knew what he was going to do. He knew what the other players were going to do against him. And for that reason, he was probably the best that ever played.
And if Wayne wasn't displaying his usual greatness on the ice, Oilers coach Glenn Sather knew exactly what to do.
Walter was such a big influence on Wayne's career that if Wayne would be struggling,